welcome back to the channel. Happy Sunday. Welcome to all those who are new to the channel, and welcome for those who continue to tune in from week to week. I thought today I will talk about something that I have been asked about periodically in different videos, especially some of my older videos, about how I plan out what I want to sew and make and different things of that nature. So that is what this video is about. So grab your notebook, grab your pen, or have me playing in the background. There may be a few things I might pop on the screen here and there, but there is nothing I need to link to, so I don't think there will be any links in the description box, but we shall see. I will be looking down periodically because I have my notes. And also stay tuned. If you see behind me, you see that's Lady Dane up under some fabric. That is a sewing fail that I'll be talking about, and how I moved on from it. I'll be talking about that in the video coming up next, right after this video. And so yeah, if you have not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Don't forget, if you watch the video, don't forget to thumbs up this video. And yeah, tune in, because yeah, the next video is going to be good. So first of all, one of the things I want you all to keep in the back of your mind as I'm talking about how I plan, I do want to say out front, I am not a labels person, meaning I'm not into, I know I get inspiration, we'll talk about it, from different avenues, but I'm not one that has to, my creations or things that I think about creating is not based off some label, meaning high-end Gucci or Louis Vuitton, Louis, all these other different people. And if I can be honest with you, I don't follow labels like that. I will see something, and you'll hear it as I go through here. I can see something that is, I don't know who made it, I don't know who the designer is, but the thing might only be $5 in a store, but I happen to like it, and so then I'm going to figure out how I'm going to make it for myself. Or it could be something that's $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 in the store, some high fashion designer or something, fashion house, and I happen to like it and I'll make it. So from my vantage point, I'm not one of those sewists who focus on labels, high-end designers, different stuff like that. I pretty much like everything. It just depends on what jumps out at me. So that is kind of the premise behind what I'll be going over. I just like what I like, and trust me, I see things at all different price points, and if it appeals to me and it's something that I want to make, I'm gonna make it. And also, I am a person that I do not buy ready to wear to wear for my garments. I don't supplement my sewing garments with ready to wear. That's just not what I enjoy, making everything I wear. So yeah, I mean, I make my own bras, I make my own underwear. However, there will be times where those are probably two things that I will go purchase. But I keep saying it, I am going to get back into the bra thing. You all know I have a so long for a bra here on my channel. And I've talked about bra making, and it's, yeah, I need to time management and get that back into get that into the swing of things. But yeah, even panties and stuff, if I don't feel like sitting down making them, yeah, I'll go buy a pack from somewhere and call it the day. But anyway, so let's jump into it. The first few things is going to be very simple and basic in what I consider some of the starting points for me. So again, keep in mind, if you do anything different or you have other ideas, that's awesome. Congratulations. Leave them down in the comments, because there may be some things that I do or that I talk about people aren't interested in doing, and they're like, oh, isn't it an easier way or something? And it probably is. Drop it in the comment if you think so, and that way if people are looking at the comments in the future, they will see, you know, what other people are thinking about. But again, keep in mind, this is my process, so this is just my opinion, and some of this can or may change or evolve over time as my sewing journey continues to evolve. So we're going to start with the easiest thing first, and how to decide what to sew. Number one is go through, obviously, your closet. Go through your closet. That's like the easiest launch pad for figuring out, okay, what do I want to sew? So when you're going through your closet, you're keeping in mind your current status in life, meaning do you have to go into the office? And even if you do, is it casual, or do you have an office environment where there's really no restrictions? You can pretty much wear whatever you like, aside from maybe, because I know even with my company, we can pretty much wear whatever we want, as long as we're not wearing graphic, like, you know, overly graphic tees, cut up jeans, stuff like that. We can't do that, but it's pretty much a free for all. So maybe decide, if you're a work from home person, maybe what you want to make or need might be a little different. Even if you do work from home, like me, I work from home 100% of the time. And so the things that I decide to make, and you'll see as I talk, it will just depend on maybe something that's going on coming up. But I do go to church on Sundays, so then I'm thinking, okay, my church outfits. And I typically, for me, I love wearing dresses. And so yeah, but go through your closet. That's the easiest launch pad. The second thing is, if you are on Instagram, I would say create a list, a private list. You can also, if you have some friends and buddies and everything on Instagram, you can create, you know how you can save posts and everything, and then you can create lists. Well, you can create those same lists to collaborate with other people. So say you have sewing friends and different things like that, and you encouraging each other, or maybe you're working on a collaboration together, and there's inspiration pics and different things you want to save that you both have access to. Use Instagram for that. However, I will also say, and for me, what the first place I go to is not Instagram, believe it or not. I know Instagram, you know, has, you know, influx. It probably is above Pinterest at this point. I don't know for sure, but Pinterest is really the first place I go when I'm looking for inspiration, and I have different Pinterest boards. So obviously on Pinterest, same with Instagram pretty much, but I find it a little more cohesive on Pinterest, is that you can create these different boards and pin things more seamlessly than I find on Instagram. So I like having all the different boards. Of course, you can create private boards, collaborative boards over on Pinterest as well. But yeah, you can do that. So that second is Pinterest, second is Instagram, third is Pinterest. The fourth thing, once you find what you like on these different platforms, what I tend to do is to look at the description of that item and then do word searches in Google for patterns. So say there is whatever the description of, say it's a shirt or something, some kind of top or dress, and you see the description of it, without going into the minutia of the description, but just high level description, as sewers, you know what I'm saying. You're not caught up in like this long laundry list of the description of the item. You just want to basically know what this is, right? You can then do Google searches for that and then add the word pattern or DIY to that description, and then you'll see different patterns that might pop up. And so that is something that you can do. Also, you might want to do go to your like the Simplicity website, and also see if you can do in your Google search, you can put in Simplicity patterns as part of the search or something to that extent, and then see if there's something in the commercial pattern company that might pop up. Because truthfully, what is happening in the fashion world is a lot of the patterns that are created by indie and commercial are inspired by fashion houses, what's coming down the runway, or what is popular in different stores, your Lane Bryant's, your Eloquii, different places like that. You then may see patterns that are created based off inspiration, not always a copy. Now with commercial, you do kind of see a copy of something that you've seen in the fashion house on the runway. You will see like a copy of that in, at least that I've noticed, in your commercial patterns. Maybe sometimes with your indie, probably Vicky Souls is probably one indie pattern company that I think really mirrors very closely off your runway designs and different things of that nature. So keep that in mind. The fifth thing is, if you have a favorite indie pattern company, go through their entire catalog. Even looking at those patterns that you think, oh, that's not my style, I wouldn't necessarily wear that. So when you see stuff like that, you're looking at the whole garment or the whole item instead of pieces of it. There might be a piece, maybe it's, say, the easy thing I can think of, say it's an indie dress. Maybe it's an indie dress in its whole that you don't like, or that's not really speaking to you, but there's a part of it, maybe there's a part of the bodice that's like, oh, I like that. That can go different. That can go on to another garment that, based on what I want to make, after I'm doing my assessments and, you know, I'm looking at things that inspire me, that, okay, I can use that. Or you can start with the base pattern. Maybe you have a TNT, which is a tried and true pattern, and maybe it's indie. It could also be a commercial as well, but maybe it's a tried and true pattern that's a good base that you've been able to manipulate, modify, hack, and then maybe from there you can then create what it is that you know you need, that's missing in your closet, or that you're inspired by, that you see on Instagram or Pinterest, and then you can kind of build up from there to then create that garment or whatever it is that you're looking to make. But with the indie pattern companies, the one thing I do like about that is, depending on the indie pattern company that you love and like, you trust their instructions, you trust the design process, you trust the block. And so because you are very familiar with what that indie designer pattern has put out in the past, and you tend to make a lot of things from there, you know that, okay, you can trust this block to make something, and even maybe a portion of the instructions to create a portion of whatever the design is, and then you can kind of veer off and finish it in a way that maybe best suits you. Like I said, the big five pattern company patterns tend to be very reminiscent of what you see in the stores on the runway. So commercial patterns may be easier and faster to get to the result that you're looking for, just because those patterns tend to be like right off the runway from some runway design, some fashion house you've seen, and it's like, okay, I don't want to do a whole ton of hacking or a lot of modifications. It depends on the look, right? Again, I'm not a label person, so some of these labels and stuff out here, I almost could care less. It's like, if I like it, I like it, and I just want to create it, right? And then after you've kind of done your assessment through those first few steps, now just do a brain dump. Just do a brain dump. Figure out, okay, this is what I would like to sew. Now, this doesn't mean that you're gonna, you know, start sewing things, everything that you dumped out of your brain, you're gonna just make like right away, because some things may require some hacking, some modifications, some merging, mashing up of patterns, and that might take some time to do that. It may take doing muslins, especially if you got to do some hacking and mashing up and stuff. You might want to do a couple muslins to get that fit together first before you start cutting into your beautiful fabric. So definitely do a brain dump after you kind of done those first few things and figure out, okay, now what do I want to sew? So after you've done your brain dump and you decide you know what you want to sew, it's time to take a look at your fabric stash. And as long as you're not on some kind of fabric buying timeout, or you're doing anything where you're not purchasing fabric, or if you have a stash, my stash is right over here. You all know how I look. Usually I film all my videos in front of my fabric. But I would say head on over to your favorite online stores. If you find that maybe you want to do your whatever it is that you want to make, you don't feel like you have in your stash what you need to make that piece, then head on over to your favorite online stores. Now, I do have a few favorites, and I'll list these down in the description box. I said I wasn't going to have any links, but I do. So Much Fabric. Now, here's one that, well, let me list them all. So Much Fabric, LA Finch Fabrics, Fabric Wholesale Direct, Destashify, and there's a few others, but I'll start with those first. And why? Because what I have found, and I have a video on my channel about 10 online fabric stores. I'll probably try to find and make it pop up in the iCards. But for me, because I am larger size, I tend to like fabrics that is wider width. So for me, I typically don't work with 45-inch wide fabric and trying to panel things together. The only 45-inch fabric I work with consistently is Ankara, and that's because I typically buy that in the 6-yard bundles that is sold in, and I can always turn the fabric right to get out what I need. But outside of that, I typically don't work with 45-inch fabric for garment making. That's just not my thing. I like 55-inch wide and wider fabric in order to get what I want out. And so far as when you're thinking about your projects, also when you are purchasing fabric, consider the yardage. Over the years, I think initially when I first when I really started diving back into sewing a few years back, I always purchase like 4 yards or 5 yards or something high, right? But as time has progressed and has gone by, I tend to like 2 to 3 yards. If I'm doing a dress, 2 to 3 yards, depending on what type of dress it is, I'm good with. If I buy 3 to 4 yards of something, it's because I like the fabric so much, I want to make something else out of it, and I want to be able to have enough. If I make a dress, I want to be able to make a top, or you know, something like that. So do consider that, and that's why I like these particular fabric shops. Of course, Fabric Mart, you got Minerva out there, but also consider the quality of the fabric that you are purchasing. So if you are, maybe you need muslin fabric, buy something that is a little on the cheaper side, right? Maybe from Walmart, Joann, something like that, that although some Joann stuff is higher price, does not make it higher quality. That's the key. But you want to, for those pieces that you really, you know, looking forward to making and want to have for a little while, consider the quality of the fabric, which means you have to keep in mind is price. So your price point will be higher per yard or per half yard, depending on how the website has their increments set up. So that is something that you will have to consider. So yeah, it depends on what you're looking for. You want to make a wearable muslin or something that is not overly precious, I would say stick to your Walmart fabric, because there are some good Walmart fabrics out there. I have bought them. Hobby Lobby is also another good one, and that actually lasts. Like seriously, it just depends. It's a hit or miss, and so yeah, keep those places in mind. But for online, I'll leave a link to all the ones I mentioned in this video. If you are trying to just work within the stash that you have, I think I stopped counting, so sorry. If you want to work with just what you have in your stash and still not looking to purchase, consider doing a destash or an exchange with another sewing buddy. So maybe you have some fabric, not necessarily in your color palette, or something you've had it too long and you know at this point you're not going to sew with it. See if you can round up some sewing buddies and do an exchange or something like that of the fabric. If you're trying to monitor your cost and spending on fabric, that is another good way to get fabric, destash fabric. Actually, you can destash if you don't mind putting in the work. You can destash fabric on destashify.com, and so that would be a good place too if you thinking about selling, having a platform. You don't want to create your own platform or anything like that. Create you a shop on Destashify to destash your fabrics, and then you'll have some money to go buy the fabric that you really want and that you really want to sew up. Now, this is something that I have always done in the past. I've said this many times. I'm not new to thrifting. I just haven't done it since we've lived here in Texas. I did it more in Wisconsin when we lived there because I always knew where to go. But now I'm just getting back into it now that I'm here in Texas. And as a matter of fact, I just went to Red, White, and Blue thrift store here in Houston. Check out my video. It was the last video. I'll have that pop up at the end. I found some really good stuff over there. But if you followed me on Instagram, I went live in stories and everything and showed you around a little bit. So good. But consider thrifting your yardage from pre-loved garments. So that for me is an upcycle. So if I'm doing something from already, like some jeans, you all know I just did my it was my first upcycle jean project. I'll pop that up in the iCards. It's part of my denim collection. How about I had that pop up at the end of this video? But yeah, I used a pre-loved garment to create that skirt from some jeans. But my personal favorite that I have done many times are sheets, curtains, depending on the weight, and that is not overly polyestery type stuff, tablecloths. And again, the weight and type is very important. I've even purchased sheets from the store before, like a Walmart or a Target. I have done that actually during the clearance sections. Keep an eye out for your clearance sections when the seasons change at your Walmart, at your Targets, when they mark down some of their seasonal bed sheets and stuff. Sometimes those designs are really good for some garments, so keep that in mind. But yeah, when I am out thrifting and stuff at your Goodwill and different types of thrift stores and stuff like that, that is what I tend to look for. And I did find a quilt. Yeah, so go check out my previous video if you missed that. So now you know, kind of decided what you want to make. You did a brain dump, assess what you have so far as fabric. Now it's time to dedicate yourself to what it is you want to make. What is realistic? Are anything in that list, is it anything that you need within the foreseeable future, meaning within the month? Give your time, yourself time to create, if you need to make muslins, to be able to make muslins, make mistakes and figure things out. Some things are easy and you can just whip them out like that, so it doesn't matter. You got the fabric, you know what you need, and you can just whip that thing out like that. No big deal. But maybe there's something that has a little bit more involvement in it. Take your time. Work a little bit every single day. Few minutes here and there can add up over time. For me, what I tend to do, I'm not very good at short increments of time. I'm one of those people that once I start something, I'm like focused, and I won't say hyper focused, but focused to the point where I need to, if I'm working on a dress, let me get pretty much the whole dress done. Maybe the last thing I need to do is the hem or the sleeves, put the sleeves in. You know, stuff like that for me is where I like my stopping and starting points to be. And I tend not to start something if I know I can't get to a certain step. You know, looking at the project and knowing how long it might take or something like that. If I know if I start, I can't get to a certain step, I just won't start it. That's just me. That's just how I think. But let me at least get the pattern cut out. If I had to make adjustments, let me get the adjustments done and all of that. Let me get the pattern cut out. And then I'm stopping. The sewing part, I need to be able to do continuous steps, like dive in for a good chunk of time. like get it half done at least, and then come back and then do another chunk of time to finish it. That's just me. You figure out what works best for you. Maybe 10-15 increments here and there that you dedicate to working on something. You'll have to figure out what works best for you, but that's what I tend to do for me. I just like working in chunks. That's just me. I also have a whiteboard. If you can see it here, I'll probably try to remember to pop up a clip. It's right there. Yeah, you can see it. That has all of my projects for, what did I do? I think I set it, yeah, I set it up in 3-month increments. So I have June, July, August, and then I have all the projects I want to complete for that month, because I've gone through this process, right? So then I cross them off and put the date in which I finished them. And so, yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I think for June, July, and August, I have 3 things to do yet, I think. 2, pretty good. I think 1 is going to fall into my next September, October, November sewing list. But yeah, I got quite a bit done. I should have probably popped up a little clip of that. Maybe in your preparation, and I'm going to grab this, maybe in your preparation you figured out, you have the fabric, you know what you need to do, made adjustments, maybe you don't need to make adjustments, you have the fabric that's dedicated to that particular project, and you want to batch cut. If you are a batch cutter, I highly suggest getting your project bags. I will link to this down in the description box, but you can go ahead, and I've done this, and I do this periodic quite well. If I already have the fabric and pattern and everything that I know I'm going to use, I'll just put everything in here, right? And so and then I'll put them in my little cubbies over there, knowing that, okay, that's ready. You can start batch cutting. If you are a batch cutter, you might not be. I ebb and flow in this. Some, you know, months I'm feeling like batch cutting because I already know what I'm gonna make. Even though I know what I'm gonna make, I didn't batch cut a lot of that. I just wasn't in the mood. It just depends on how I'm feeling, and that may be how it is for you. It just depends on how you're feeling. But at the very least, if you don't even want to cut it out, because if you're like me, sometimes you don't want to cut out fabric and dedicate fabric to a particular project and cut it all out because you know yourself that you might change your mind. Just fold the fabric up with the pattern, put it in the project bag, and that's ready, right? And it gives you the opportunity, if you decide, oh, I got this fabric in, or I saw this fabric, I think that'll be better for that, then all you gotta do is take that fabric out, put it back in your stash, and put the new fabric in. And if you know you're going to commit to it at that point, go ahead and cut it out and put everything in there, right? So it's ready to go when you are ready, because there are some days and times during the week, right, that you might go a couple days and you're never in your sewing room. You know, you just don't have time, or you don't feel like it. Maybe you're under the weather, maybe other stuff is going on in your life and you just can't get in there. That is okay. If you have, you know, 2 or 3 of these already ready to go, especially if the pattern is cut out and everything all ready to go, then all you got to do is pull this out to jumpstart and get your sewing groove back in. And so, and keep it in mind with all of this, if there are adjustments that you need. Now, here is something that I also do. I highly recommend. If there is a pattern you want to make or a design you want to try, search it here on YouTube. Why do I say that? Because there may be a sew along for that pattern, or you might find a video that's showing how to do a technique for something that you are working on. So if it's a shoulder adjustment, I have a shoulder adjustment video, I'm just using that as an example, then that video will pop up, and then you can watch it before you start diving all in, doing all the other things. You try it, get a little comfortable with that technique, that process, that new thing, and then once you work on your project, then it's like, oh, okay, now I know how to do this shoulder adjustment that can help me, you know, with this particular garment or something like that. I highly recommend that, and I say this all the time. Please do not discount those YouTube channels and creators that don't make anything that you like. You wouldn't believe how many times I have watched a YouTube video of a channel Their aesthetic, their style has nothing to do with anything I gravitate to. Nothing I would make at all. But they showed a technique or something in their video that I was like, whew. And as a matter of fact, stay tuned. Next week Sunday, I'm gonna share one with you. Perfect example of that. I'll share with you next week. It's actually one of my dresses from my summer dress collection. This is not a channel. It's not a channel I would watch, but because I did a search on this particular pattern and that popped up, and the woman was talking in French, I was fine. Because as even though you might not understand or the translation, if it's a visual, you see what they're doing, and so you can kind of follow along. So I say all that to say, please do not discount channels that, oh, that's not my style, or she don't make something that I'm into or anything. You could be missing out on a really good technique, and sometimes you just have to do a search and you see something pop up and you're like, huh? Watch the video. You might learn something. You may very well learn something new. Trust me, happens all the time. So say you have now gone through all of that, did all of the work, sewed, made your garment, figured out what you want to make, you did it all. Now you done made it. Now it's time to post about it. Time to show it off, if that's you. I have several sewing friends, you know who you are because you're watching me, that they make some beautiful stuff, but you would never see it online. You would never see it on Instagram or nowhere. But they make some beautiful pieces. So maybe this don't apply to you, but if you are into maybe creating your own YouTube channel or having an Instagram account, or maybe the simplest thing is just create a Pinterest and then you just post your stuff on Pinterest, tagging the pattern company, make sure you tagging the fabric company, just so people know where you're getting stuff and what this is, and different stuff like that. And sometimes, let me take that back about tagging a company, because I will be honest, there are a couple pattern companies that I will make something, I won't tag them. I might mention, I may not mention in the hashtag the company, and that's for my own personal reasons that I'm not going to get into. But if I purchase something and I spend my money on it, I'm going to use it. And so, but I just might not tag the company. So take that with a grain of salt. To each his own, right? Now, when it comes to collections, how do I come up with my collection? So my final 2 points, collections. So you all know I'm doing the denim collection series. I announced that in January, before all this denim trending, and it seemed like everybody started doing denim this, denim that. Y'all, I was already dreaming denim before this year even started. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a whole denim collection in 2024. And so that's what I've been doing. Every single month, I bring you a piece or two. And I'll make sure that pops up at the end of this video, which my upcycle piece is in there. So I'll make sure my summer dress collection playlist pops up at the end of this video, and my denim collection series pop up at the end of this video if you're interested in seeing what I've made so far this year. But I love wearing dresses, so that was easy. And last year I did a summer collection series based off the Sewing Fashionistas meetup group, our homework that we had. And so I remember asking last year, oh, would you be interested? It would be fun to do a summer dress collection. And a lot of people seemed like they were interested, and so that's why I did it for this year. And so yeah, I'm up to sharing with you dress number 7 on Wednesday and dress number 8 next week Sunday. So stay tuned if you haven't subscribed. And then the denim, like I said, the denim collection was something that was just in my mind. I love denim, and so I was like, I'm just gonna do it in 2024. And but I know it's like super popular for other reasons and stuff, but has nothing to do with me. Again, I'm not really into labels, trends, and if I like something, I like something. I don't care if people stopped wearing it 2, 3, 4 years ago. If I like it and I want to wear it, I'm gonna make it and wear it. as easy as that for me. And then last but not least, sewing fails. Now, you might have gone through all the proper planning and looking at things and even got your fit down and got into your good fabric, and then you have a sewing fail. Stay tuned for Wednesday. I will share with you how I managed getting through that sewing fail, how I handled it, and all of that. And I'm gonna tell you why it was a fail, and the struggles that I had with that particular pattern. But yeah, stay tuned. You're gonna have them. Everybody has them. And the one thing I will say, if you do have a sewing fail, now for me, for this particular piece, yeah, there's gonna be some other options I have, and I'll share that on Wednesday. But even if it's a wearable muslin that just did not turn out, you can donate it. If you figure out your sewing fail, depending on how far you've completed it, and it's wearable, but you just absolutely hate it and it looks fine, donate it. Donate it to a women's shelter, Goodwill, something like that. What I don't want you all to do is throw textiles in the trash. We're not doing that. We are not doing that, people. Make sure that you are, maybe you can recycle those for another garment if you can, or at the very least, cut it up and use it for stuffing for dog beds. I know there's charities out there for dog beds, and also for pillows. Maybe if you don't mind doing home decor for your house, maybe that's the only time you do home decor for your house. If you have a bin, you know, something with a bunch of scraps in it, and you just go ahead and make use it for stuffing, that's the easiest thing, because some people are into sewing scraps together to make bigger pieces of textile to be able to make something. That's not necessarily my thing. I have like a laundry thing that's filled with scraps. I use that for stuffing in pillows. And when I had a Great Dane, y'all know how big Great Danes are, I used to always make his beds, and so I used to go through those scraps all the time because I used to remake his beds a lot. Yeah, we not throwing the textiles out like that. Well, you know what, I didn't remake his textiles or remake his bed. What I did do, because it would flatten, I had an opening where I would just stuff new scraps in there. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. And then, because what I would do is the part that is being stuffed is the insert, and then I sew the outer part, that then I will put the insert in, and the outer part had a zipper. That's how I would do it. So I knew if the bed got flat, so if your pillow gets flat, you're using the stuffing to create the insert, not the actual pillow. But although you can do that too, but that's what I would tend to do. And so yeah, you can use it for, you can make that ottoman, I think is from Closet Core, from your scraps, and stuff that. Maybe it's a back pillow, maybe, you know, stuff, home decor stuff. Or maybe you're not into home decor, but you have other friends that sew, or people who, they're not into garment making, but they don't mind making pillows and stuff. Give it to them, they'll use it. Sorry, the camera cut off. See if the Quilt Guild will take some of your scraps, depending on the size of it in your area. They might take it to use for their project, especially if they're doing charity quilts and they just need scraps and stuff like that. So just think outside the box, but think outside putting any textiles in the garbage. Let's not do that. All of this just requires to figure out what works for you. And especially if, you know, depending on where you are, maybe if you're on a health journey, weight loss journey like me, y'all know I'm a big proponent of, I don't care what size you are. If I'm this size, this weight, I'm making the jeans. If I lose the weight and hit go, I'm making the jeans. I mean, it don't matter what the garment, the coat, I don't care what it is. So keep all of that in mind as you're preparing for, you know, your next project that you want to make. But that is what I do in sharing my process. I hope this helps for those who might need it a little, some different ideas or thinking around it. And if you have other ideas and stuff that you do, go ahead, throw them down in the comment section so other people can see what others are doing and thinking about. But that's all that I wanted to share. If there is another topic like this that you would like for me to cover, please leave it in the comment section, and I'll, you know, I can put something together. I don't mind. Put it down, ask me anything. If you want to see me do a separate video on something in particular, yeah, or answer questions. Maybe there's a question and answer Q&A. I don't know. If you got a Q&A, put it down below. Maybe I'll do that in September. I don't know. I never get any questions for Q&A, so I don't expect that. But maybe there's something else or something. Anyway, I can do that video, prepare and do that video in September. All right, everybody, thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, stay tuned for Wednesday. That's that someone fell back there. But anyway, everybody, all right, have a blessed one, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.